Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar where we'll see how to access Pléiades Neo data in the Living Library. I am Nicolas Jonard, OneAtlas Marketing Manager, and I'll be joined today by Lison Leonetti, our Living Library Product Marketing Manager, for this session on our new Living Library offer. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's events. You will have the opportunity to submit text question to today's presenters by typing your question into the question section on the bottom right part of the screen. You may send in your question at any time during the presentation. We will collect this and address them during the Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. Please stay focused until the end of the presentation, as we will be providing you with a surprise and a special offer for this new Living Library. So now let's start this session. So we'll be starting with the agenda. So today, what we have for you will go with an introduction of OneAtlas. What is our OneAtlas platform? Then we will, of course, focusing on our Living Library offer. So what is Living Library? What is the content strategy around this offer? We will go over some use cases and potential applications. We will talk about how to access it and our API as well possibilities. We will ensure a live demo for you. And then, of course, we will go through a Q&A session. So let's start then with our OneAtlas introduction. So what is OneAtlas today? So the OneAtlas platform. OneAtlas is really a single platform to easily access to all Airbus imagery. So it can be Pléiades Neo in 30 centimeters, as you can see here, Pléiades in 50 centimeters, spot imagery 1.5 meter, or radar imagery. You can now have access to a specific interface through OneAtlas to order all your radar archive and tasking services, reference layers, like the base map, and or advanced analytics, so machine learning capabilities, some algorithms that are available on OneAtlas. So this is really the one place where you can find everything you need for your imagery. Of course, so you would see in more details what we're talking here about OneAtlas. So we can see, of course, the access to the constellation, as I mentioned, from Pléiades Neo to the radar constellation, providing with analytics capabilities, as I mentioned, counting cars, for example, completing change detection of our infrastructure, or having a full land use cover. Going with tasking, so you can really easily task our satellite, whether it's Spot, Pleiades, or Pléiades Neo, or radar satellites. You have the full access to those tools, and you can easily task any of our sensors. You can of course benefit from our archive, going back to 2012 for all optical sensors. So Spot and Pleiades notably. Pléiades Neo was launched last year, so we already have 1 year of archive, and you will see later on that that's plenty of coverage already available all around the planet. Our reference layers with a base map, worldwide base map, covered in 50 centimeters and 1.5 meters, but stay tuned, 30 centimeters with Pléiades Neo is coming, and of course you will hear about it. 3D texture model is also available based on our imagery, and we also provide digital elevation model with WorldM, for example, and our new WorldM Neo. You can now have access to our WorldM Neo dedicated interface through OneAtlas again, where you can order all your elevation models, or you can also access to WorldM for auto for your auto rectification purposes. So then let's go now to one specific item around OneAtlas. As you may have seen, we have distinctive and very flexible business model around our platform. So you may used to go on GeoStore, where the pay-per-order model is only available, but with OneAtlas, we are going from just a single business model, pay-per-order, to, of course, subscription and pay-per-order business model. So what does it mean? With a subscription, you can subscribe, for example, here to Living Library, where you can access to all archive of Pleiades and Spot and a premium selection of Pléiades Neo. You can access to subscribe to our base map, subscribe to our analytics, or to Worldem. So that's generally a 1-year subscription, and then you can consume all your data package within this subscription. So pay per order, as you used to do it, you can definitely order whatever you want when you need it, and you're just going to purchase and pay at the same time for your order. So today we have Pleiades and Spot tasking available through this mode. Of course, the archive of Pleiades and Spot is still on your store, but coming into OneAtlas before the end of the year. Pleiades Neo archive and tasking available in a pay per order model as well. So you can task whenever you want on newest constellation. And the same for the radar, where you can access to archive and tasking. So flexibility around our business model, flexibility for you to order whatever is needed here into our imagery and analytics capabilities. So Lison, up to you.
Hello everyone, this is Lison. So now I'm going to deep dive into the Living Library, right? So we've seen what is OneAtlas, and one big pillar of the OneAtlas platform is the archive offering. So the Living Library is really the subscription to access all our optical archive in OneAtlas. It's a library of multi-resolution archive imagery. We have more than 10 years of archive now, since the first satellites were launched in 2012. And we have daily revisits all around the world and very frequent updates that I will introduce a bit more later on. The first sensor to be part of the Living Library is Spot. Spot is an optical satellite with 1.5 meter resolution and a very large swath of 60 kilometers. Spot is really the perfect sensor to acquire large coverage, and is very complementary with Pleiades, 50 centimeter resolution this time, again an optical satellite, this time with 20 kilometer swath. So Pleiades is really more about sharp details and accuracy for precision mapping, for example. So Spot will be the perfect asset to acquire regular areas and covering large areas, and Pleiades to complement with more details and precision. Of course, in September now, we will enrich this content with the latest asset of the constellation, Pléiades Neo, this time 30 centimeter resolution, so really crisp and sharp details over satellite imagery with 14 kilometer swath. So you see these sensors are all part of this archive imagery library, and they are very complementary between each other depending on the need of coverage and the need of sharp details. So now, really with new access to 30 centimeter data, users can build their archive satellite imagery library very easily, all in one place. But what makes imagery from Pleiades Neo different, right? So we launched these satellites for a few times now, and they have really unprecedented benefits compared to other satellites that are on the market. First one is agility. Pleiades Neo can acquire a very flexible range of segments on the planet. Easy access, of course. So we will demonstrate that. Nicola will give you a demo at the end of this session to see how is it easy to stream or download Pleiades Neo data through OneAtlas. Intraday revisit. So remember that on top of Pleiades Neo, we have also Spot and Pleiades. So the intraday revisit possibility is really explored to its maximum and is very important to monitor specific areas in the world of interest. We will present a bit more the content strategy as well behind this on the next slides. Accuracy, Pléiades Neo is really super accurate in terms of geometric accuracy with 3.5 meters C90. Reactivity, Pléiades Neo data can be tasked very quickly and until 30 minutes before acquisition over the orbit. And lastly, it is flexible, whether we talk about access mode, whether we talk about products, business models, really the range of possibilities are endless.
Thank you, Lison. All right, so we are going to go with our first poll today, which is about which resolution are you interested in for archive. So you can vote now. So you can choose 30 centimeters Pleiades Neo, 50 centimeters Pleiades, 1.5 meters port, or other resolution. So you can select several items if you need. So we will leave you a few seconds to vote. So I can see votes coming. You can continue to vote. So we're going to leave a few more seconds again. So if we look at the results, we have 43% for Pléiades Neo, 32% for Pleiades, 20% for Spot, and 4% for others. So we can see that Pléiades Neo is quite expected here. Thank you all for your inputs. All right. Lison.
Thank you. So very interesting. We see, of course, a bigger trend over Pléiades Neo 30 centimeter imagery. So this webinar is right on point. So now let's move on to the content specification of the Living Library. So here we are going to deep dive a little bit more into the details, but don't worry, this presentation will be made also available. I mean, the webinar recording will be made available if you need to go back to the details of it. So what is the Living Library in particular? It's, first of all, the subscription of archive imagery is ortho-rectified products only. So we have a great native co-registration between all satellites, between all images, basically, Spot, Pleiades, and Pleiades Neo. So it is perfectly ortho-rectified between each census. There is really a perfect alignment. The Living Library, we've seen it. It includes Pleiades Neo, Pleiades, and Spot. On the Living Library, which is, let's say, an online selection of data immediately available in streaming and for fast download, where the minimum AOI order is 0.1 square kilometer. So the idea here is really to give a quick and easy access to archive imagery based on users' needs. So if it's very, very tiny AOI, no problem. This is very easy to make on the Living Library. And we have different content strategy per sensor. So Pléiades Neo within the Living Library is a premium selection up to 15% cloud cover and 30-degree incidence angle. And in this case, it's since satellite launch, right? Because it's pretty recent. Keep in mind that this will be made available in September of this year in the Living Library. Pleiades and Spot are already there. And for Pleiades, the content is up to 25% cloud cover and 30-degree incidence angle. The data available in the Living Library is less than 18 months old, right? So these criterions are actually the really curated selection of data, which are basically the most used in the platform. And for Spot, we are even more curating the selection with 0% cloud cover and 25-degree incidence angle. If you have questions during this webinar, don't hesitate to write them in the question panel and we will answer it at the end. So feel free to do so. Everything that is not in this living library selection is called the extended archive. Basically, the rest of the catalog, so the entire catalog, all the acquisitions made by the satellite since launch, and they can be accessible in the living library through a mechanism that we call warm-up. This mechanism makes it a little bit longer to access, so it's a bit more like the regular ordering that you could find on GeoStore, and so the products are made available within 24 hours after product ordering. But on average, it is much more faster than that. For this selection, the archive, the extended archive, the minimum order is raised to 1 square kilometer. And here you can find the entire catalog back to 2012 of Pleiades and Spot, but for Pleiades Neo, the warm-up mechanism is not available. Nevertheless, the Pleiades Neo catalog is available on demand with a pay-per-order account. Now moving on to product formats. So as I mentioned, whether we talk about download or streaming, the geometric processing of images present in the living library are orthorectified only. In terms of spectral band combination, we can find whether bundle or pan-sharpened. Pixel depth for download can be 16 or 8 bits, so more pixel information or less. Radiometric processing can be reflex tensor display, formats JPEG 2000 or GeoTIFF, and lastly, projections offer two options, geographic or UTM. Right? For streaming, even more simple, it's pan-sharpened data, 8 bits. Of course, display, it's optimized for visual display of data, PNG, and projection can be chosen. Okay, so really the idea behind the living library is to have very quick and easy products to use, a very simple process to stream or order the data. So the span of possibilities reduced to the most used combination. So now we will have a quick overview of content preview tools to check available content in the living library. So Nicola is going to send you some link to access this tool. So you can have a look for yourself and have a look whenever you want. So in this snapshot, we can have an overview of the Pleiades and Spot catalog. In blue are all the Pleiades images, and in Spot, the pink one. And you can access also the Pleiades Neo 30 centimeter content preview tool. So you see, in less than 1 year, we already acquired a lot of data for Pleiades Neo. So now I'm going to focus a bit more on content strategies. So what is the type of content that you can find on the living library? The first highlight is urban areas. So we have really this strategy of acquiring and updating the most populated area of the world, right? So you can see here that we have almost 50,000 Pleiades data in the living library over these urban areas, and it represents almost 1,600 AOIs. Comment. As Pleiades Neo will be integrated in the living library in September, today we present you the Pleiades content, but of course, the strategy is to have a complementary acquisition plan between Pleiades and Pleiades Neo over these areas, because for urban areas and every content I'm going to show you in the next slides, Pleiades Neo is really the perfect sensor to see what's happening on the ground. So moving on to airports. So here is an overview of the more than 7,000 airports we are acquiring data over. So here you have a snapshot of the Pleiades content in the Living Library, so immediately available in streaming and for fast download. And again, same principle, Pléiades Neo will complement this strategy very soon, starting in September. Harbors now. So here is the same. You can see on the map more than 500 harbors, which are acquired with our satellites on a regular basis. And here is the snapshot of what is immediately available with the Living Library with Pleiades, so almost 10,000 segments, again, which will be enriched with Pleiades Neo.
All right, thank you, Lison. So we are coming here to a second poll of the day about content. So I'm going to publish the poll now, so you can vote as the first one. You can also select several answers. So which content is most interesting for you? First answer is urban areas. Then we have airports, harbors, or other like defense, could be military sites or other things. So we will leave you some seconds to vote, so I can see the votes coming. So we're gonna leave you 5 to 10 more seconds to vote. And we are going to stop the votes. So if we look at the result, we have first for so we'll unpublish now the poll. So we the result are urban areas 39%, other like defense military sites 37%, harbors 13%, airports 11%. So thank you everyone for your vote here.
Thank you. So yeah, pretty interesting. I want to add here that we didn't present our defense site content strategy because it's sensitive content, but please know that we have a really a curated and well thought content strategy for this areas. So if you are interested, don't hesitate to contact us and we'll be happy to discuss it with you. So now moving on to use cases. So Living Library is really an offer for any type of vertical application. So here we are really going to focus on generic applications, which are actually the core of geospatial applications in the end. So we start with monitoring, which is strongly related just after in the value chain to the analysis, but we have also mapping and machine learning. So in terms of vertical application, it can be applied to, let's say, the most traditional vertical applications that have been existed on the market for years and decades, let's say. So of course, defense is one of the core applications for this type of data. But we have also all the energy sector, whether we talk about oil and gas or renewable energies. We have also the agriculture market for everything related to precision agriculture. We have also maritime applications. So these are really more the core traditional applications with some others like urban planning, for example. But now, thanks to digitalization, cloud-based platforms, and easy access, as well as APIs that we will cover in a few minutes, the new vertical application have been made endless. We've seen a surge into new markets like insurance, real estate, utilities, geo-marketing, really markets that can leverage this easy access to the data to realize their use cases. So I'm going to develop a bit more on the first one, monitoring. So monitoring is basically observing progress of an asset on the ground And it can be anything, right? And first of all, it can be in the past. So if you remember, we have data going back to 2012. So we have really valuable historical archive to look at what happened since 10 years ago. We can also monitor very recent events, and most of the time this is what is of interest. And lastly, we can even allow ourselves to monitor in the future thanks to complementarity with tasking. So monitoring is one of the key use cases for the Living Library because this stack of very dense archive content with a perfect co-registration between data, so perfect alignment. It's really reliable and timestamp data to monitor as best as possible. So monitoring, of course, is key for defense activities, monitoring borders, areas of conflicts, and so on. But it's also key in a lot of other sectors. For agriculture, monitoring is particularly important to monitor the health of crops. In maritime, it is very important to monitor the key harbors of the world and monitoring if there are any suspicious activity or suspicious behaviors. And for the rest of the, let's say, more exotic markets that we now see really more using satellite imagery, we have all the urban areas monitoring for insurance and real estate, utilities monitoring, so power lines or train lines and so on. So monitoring is really key, and it's really one of the baseline of the use cases for satellite imagery archive. So once we have monitored an area and we detected something quite abnormal, analysis is the next step to really understand what is happening on the ground. And for this, satellite imagery is particularly interesting because it offers a lot of tools to analyze what is happening. First of all, visual information that can be seen with human eyes, right? But on top of that, we have also spectral bands that can be analyzed to find even more accurate information that cannot be seen only with human eyes. This is true for Spot and Pleiades with the infrared band, which is in the satellites, but even more true with Pléiades Neo, where we have two additional spectral bands, red edge and deep blue. So we can even more expand the range of analysis over the data depending on the use case. So here again, analysis is key for defense applications. It is key because once we have monitored something suspicious or something happened which needs to be analyzed, satellite imagery provides really reliable information to see what happened on the ground. So it can be battle damage assessment, this type of application. For maritime, again, analysis is very important, for example, to find hijacked ships or illegal fishing activities. And here, this is typically the kind of use cases where we can leverage the new bands of Pleiades Neo, like the deep blue band. For agriculture, the same principle. So once we have monitored the crops to see what is the health of the crop, what are the biophysical parameters of the plants, we can analyze what needs to be done, right? And even more with the infrared band and the red edge band. For other markets, this applies too, right? So everything we mentioned can be enhanced with the new bands of Pleiades Neo and all the historical depths of data. Another key application in the market for decades now is mapping. And it's actually mapping which brought really satellite imagery to the regular consumer market, right? And we all know who is the main actor, it's Google. So Google and all the main actors in the mapping industry are actually leveraging satellite imagery to update maps of the world. The world is changing so quickly that it is very challenging to have accurate and updated maps, right? So this is where satellite imagery and frequent acquisition over the world can help to improve the accuracy of the vector maps that we are using in our daily lives. So the main market for mapping is location-based services. So I mentioned one big player, but there are so many. But mapping is not actually limited to this type of company. Mapping can and is used in the markets we mentioned in the previous slide. So defense, maritime, agriculture, energy sectors are all leveraging geospatial maps in their activities. So this is really key. And here, the complementarity between the sensors we have in the living library, Spot to acquire big coverage, is perfect to have very fresh updates on large areas, and we can complement this with very accurate details with Pleiades and Pléiades Neo. And the last big application I want to mention is machine learning. And this one has really been completely reshaping the market over the past years. Why? It's because machine learning has actually helped to automate the previous use cases I mentioned. Machine learning is going to automate monitoring, analysis, and even mapping in some cases. The main principle of machine learning over satellite imagery is to train algorithms to automatically analyze, detect, or count features over satellite imagery. For example, we can train an algorithm over the living library images to count solar panels. We can do this for any object, actually. And in our case, on OneAtlas, we have an analytics offering to do so. And in this case, you can count cars, trucks, ships, planes, and make change detection between images. But actually, again, the possibilities are endless because it's depending on what the algorithm is going to be trained with in terms of images and labels that the result will differ. So machine learning has been really an exploding use case for the past years and made possible a lot of applications for specific markets which were not existing in the past. So it's really the complementarity between all the applications we mentioned that is expanding all the uses possible of satellite imagery. So don't hesitate to ask questions as we are almost finishing this webinar and we will answer it at the end. So let me wrap up with a few points about the access. We presented a bit what is the living library about, and now we are going to see how to access this data. You can access the data through OneAtlas, through API, or through GIS. So let me start with a few tools that are already existing to access data into GIS. So we have a few S3 plugins over the key software present on S3 Suite, and also QGIS plugins to integrate the living library catalog and capacities directly into your workflow. But one very important thing is that OneAtlas is a platform powered by APIs, application programming interface, which can connect to any other type of interface. So in our case here, we are talking about the living library. So the 4 APIs accessible for the living library. The first one, the search API. It's a search tool enabling to access the imagery based on search parameters like cloud cover, area, freshness, and so on. The View API, which is a streaming API optimized for visualization and screen display. For the one that knows it, it's a WMS and WMTS OGC format. We have also some more exotic API. It's called Pixel for Analytics, and in this case, it's a streaming protocol which allows to access imagery, but at a pixel level. So it's really optimized for analysis over satellite imagery in streaming. You can access, for example, some spectral band in particular with this API. And this is a Airbus proprietary format and is very similar to the WCS OGC protocol. And lastly, of course, thanks to our APIs, you can download images from the Living Library. So it's the processed image which is downloaded from the OneAtlas Airbus cloud to the user's storage solution. So this is for Living Library, but on top of this, we have also two key APIs, the tasking API, so you can complement the archive content with tasking through APIs, and same for the analytics I mentioned.
All right, thank you, Lison. So do not hesitate to send your question. There are already a lot of questions in the question panel. I can see that, so thank you. We'll make sure to answer to all of them, I hope, at the end of the presentation, but please continue to enter your questions. So let's go now to our last poll of the day, which is about our archive imagery and integration to the workflow. So I'm going to publish the poll now. So how do you integrate archive imagery into your workflow? Do you use the OneAtlas web interface? Are you using API, ArcGIS, QGIS, and NV, or any other software? So we leave you some seconds to vote. I can see what's coming in. Okay, let's wait five to 10 more seconds. All right. So let's go and stop the vote over here. So I'm stopping the vote now. So the results. First, we have ArcGIS with 28%, QGIS with 25%, API 17%, others 14%, the OneAtlas interface 8%, and NV 8%. So thank you for those inputs again.
Thank you, Nicolas. Okay, it's very interesting, and a lot of different answers. So pretty interesting to know what are the others type of workflow. So if you want to share this with us on the chat, please feel free. So now we are going to move on to the demo. So Nicolas will take the lead here.
All right, thank you, Lison. So I will share now my screen, of course. So you should be able to see my screen now. So here I'm connected into OneAtlas. As you can see, this is so I'm accessing through my account, which is indicated over here. You can see my account balance. So for example, here I have a little bit more than 19,000 euros left into my account. And here, so I believe you're used to that with our current living area. So you are connected, and you, of course, can search for any area. This is today just an account demo, so we don't have all available content over here, which is normal. It's just a test demo account. So do not be surprised. We, of course, have more data. So I would go here and go today to Tokyo in Japan to make our demo. So I'm going to Tokyo by searching, of course, in the search bar here, but you can always go to the AOI manager, draw, of course, URLs, but of course, upload any KML, KMZ, or GeoJSON file. So here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the AOI manager just to draw a rectangle over Tokyo. So I will just go like this, and I can see that I have two possible actions, archive and analytics. So archive, we're going to concentrate on archive today, but analytics, we're working on, of course, adapting our analytics to Pléiades Neo. Still not available, but let's keep here on archive. So archive, I go here, and what you can see, so I'm searching, I'm seeing some Pleiades image, and if I go to resolution, as you can notice, you have 30 centimeters, 50 centimeters, or 1.5 meter. So I'm going to go to 30 centimeters only. Okay, so I can see that I have some image into OneAtlas here. So you can see the coverage over here from appearing release. We can see the footprint over the UI. I have a nice image covering Tokyo downtown here. So I will just click on the eye, and I can see that I can quickly see accessing the data, so the Pleiades Neo data in streaming again. And I will, of course, be able to observe the very high resolution, so the 30 centimeters resolution over the UI. So you can see very much a lot of details appearing on the data. So we can see you can distinguish, of course, all the cars if there are trucks. So it's all the lanes on the roads. So we can see really a lot of detail. Even, for example, the players here on the football field playing, you can almost, of course, you can count the people over here. So you can see a lot of details appearing in streaming. I can do, of course, any of the image over here. So I can mix from Pleiades and Spot. And here, so second step, so if I want to get this image and order this image into a download, I just have to click on the cart, and I will get a price over here. Okay, so we will just reduce and deduct this amount from your total amount, which is indicated on the top right-hand corner. As indicated before by Liaison, you have auto-rectify imagery only, and you have all the processing that were indicated by Liaison. So you can order the JPEG, GeoTIFF, or that you can see UTM geographic. You just have to click on order, and this is done. So I won't do it here. I'm just going to cancel here, and I can search, of course, and come back and look for another any other area or any other image that suits my needs. So if I click on the other one here, I can really easily access to the other part, as you can see, into this area. And if you look at it, in February, and you can see a lot of snow in that case. So really some lot of detail thanks to Pléiades Neo and easy access to the imagery. Once you have ordered your imagery, you will be able to retrieve all of them, in this My Data tab. You will be able to track all your consumption in this usage panel over here. Okay, and you will be able to track your orders through this panel called Order Tracking. So really easy and easy to search for your all your images around the planet, where you can stream and get access to 30 centimeters in just a matter of seconds in terms of streaming, or minutes, of course, for the download. So it's a quick delivery and quick access to our 30 centimeters imagery, along with 50 centimeters Pleiades and our spot data in 1.5 meter. So a lot of data you can access, of course, in this useful product. All right, Liaison, I will end up here, and I will get that back to you now.
Thank you. So we are almost at the end now. So we hope you've paid attention to the presentation, because as mentioned, we have a little surprise for you. So we've seen it, sorry. So how to get started? So I see a few questions coming up on this topic. So the Living Library subscription are starting at 5,000 euros. It's also available in dollars. And as you've seen, the Living Library allows both download and streaming within this amount. So it's a subscription based on consumption. So you have a volume of euros to be spent in Pléiades Neo, Pleiades and Spot, in download or streaming, the way you like. So if you remember well, the minimum AOI for Living Library is 0.1 square kilometers. So it can be really very efficient to monitor and analyze, or do machine learning over very tiny AOIs. So this is really flexible. It's starting at 5,000 euros, but actually starting from this price, any amount is possible. It really depends on your need, on the user's need, in terms of quantity, in terms of volume of data needed, or in terms of customer budget. But really the benefit is that it is very flexible because the subscription can be used throughout a year, right? And you don't have to choose for a specific sensor or access mode. Everything is available. And depending on your needs, if it's evolving, you can select the right product. So we have a special offer for you. So any person who is attending this webinar will benefit from a special offer of 10% free extra data valid on a new Living Library subscription. So this offer will be valid until October 21st for any new Living Library subscription. If you want to get started, you can go on oneatlas.airbus.com, but you're going to receive a link in the chat panel right now. And you just have to click on Living Library Contact Us, and we'll be happy to provide you with pricing information and more details if you need so. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for all the questions. Now we are going to answer those. So as you can see right now, you have a link to contact us for more information. Feel free to keep this page on a tab on your laptop for later maybe. And now we are going to look at the questions.
All right, Lison, thank you. So you should have seen the link. So if you want to contact us, if you're interested by this offer, please do not hesitate. To write us and contact us through this link. You can also go to the OneAtlas.airbus.com website, and you will be able to contact us there. So a lot of questions. I would try to go through them. We will go first. So with some questions. So I'm going to try to go to the most appreciated ones. So I will start with first question from Andrea about some auto products. So the auto products available have wavy roads and building most of the time. That's really a problem for us, and we will need the regional bundle products. Thank you, Andrea, for this question. Yes, with some very high angle images, you may encounter some issue there, but we are trying to really deliver the best auto products into that Living Library subscription. As of today, we do not deliver the primary, but auto products should be I would say delivered in a qualitative way. So if you have again any issue there, feel free to reach us, and of course we will make our best to solve the situation. But we will make sure, of course, to deliver with you with very high quality products. So if there again some issues there, please let us know. As of today, only auto rectify, but we will make sure to of course let you know if primary will be made available into Living Library soon. As a reminder, you may order any primary projected format through your paper order account, your paper order contract. So if you want to order any of those products, primary or projected, you can of course go to our paper order contract. So it's an easy switch on OneAtlas to go from one contract to the other, and you will be able to retrieve all your data, whether it's ordered on Living Library or through your paper order contract, into My Data. Let's go now with another question. So from Lee, can you download Imagery from others than Living Library only option? And so what is the delay, if any? So if you order through the extended archive, as explained by Lison, it may take a few hours. So it goes up to 24 hours to deliver the image. So this option, if you access, for example, to a more cloudy image for Spot or Pleiades, you will be able to access to the extended archive. For Pléiades Neo, we don't offer that capability, so you will have to go through your pay per order contract. Another question, Lison from Yano, saying, do you pay when previewing the imagery in the OneAtlas web user interface?
Hello. Good point. I didn't mention it during the presentation, but actually there is no previewing. You can stream until Zoom level 14 for free. So this is a Zoom level where you can see, like you can actually preview until this Zoom level, see if there are no clouds over the particular point you would like to focus on, to see the overall quality of the image. And until this point, you don't pay. But when you zoom in above, below the Zoom level 14, then this is when you start to pay. So if you want to understand a bit more the streaming mechanism, don't hesitate to contact us. So it's a price per square kilometer, but it's actually the tiles that are counting and which are equivalent to a certain zoom level and resolution accessed.
Thank you, Lison. Another question from Yano. How is WMS, WMTS streaming via API priced? By area or data stream?
So it's the same principle that what I mentioned. The mechanism on the user interface or API is the same, but through API you can directly zoom into the right zoom level. So it's more efficient consumption. If you really want to be accurate about the streaming consumption, you should go directly to the right zoom level and area, and then activate the streaming. So this is how it works through APIs. So the same can be done on the web user interface. So we have a developer portal. You can find the link on the OneAtlas.airbus.com portal, where you can find all the tutorials, guides, and code to configure this type of APIs very easily.
Thank you, Lison. So we are going to see another question. So let me check to all the question we have. So here, maybe Lison, we have a question from Muhammad about agriculture. So I will share this question to you. So if you can, could you please provide details related to agriculture applications, plant count, plant height umbrella, soil organic matters, and so on. So do you have any details to share here?
Hello. So Living Library is a pretty generic platform for all use cases, but we have a suite of really agriculture applications also available. So I invite you to visit our website and check the agriculture section. You will find a lot of information about crop monitoring applications, biophysical parameter of plants analysis and recommendations, and forest monitoring applications. So we have really a diverse range of capabilities, starting from imagery that we showed today, but really the next step into the value chain, the analysis and application over the agriculture market can be found also on the OneAtlas portal.
Thank you, Lison. I'm seeing a lot of questions coming, so I will continue. I have another question for you, which is, why do we have to decide in advance whether we want bundle spectral band, panchromatic and multispectral, or punch-sharpened satellite imagery? Why can't we have both types for the same satellite image? Is the punch-sharpening process already performed during data collection?
Hello, thank you for the questions. So when you are on OneAtlas, Nicola showed you, and you want to order an image, you can select if you want a bundle or pan sharpened. So yeah, you need to decide what kind of processing you want, because the products are actually all stored in the cloud in a raw format, let's say, and is processed when you ask it to do so. So this is where you decide if you need a bundle or a pan sharpen, but everything else we discussed. So you can have both types, but for the same satellite image, but it's true you need to do two ordering because it will be two different production. So when we collect the data, when we task the satellite, the data we receive is raw data. And what you find in the cloud is raw data. And it is really your call to produce it in pan sharpen or in bundle.
Thank you, Lison. So another question here. So about can we order stereo, tri-stereo data? So on this question, so no, you won't be able to order stereo, tri-stereo data, archive data through Living Array. This is only mono data here, but you can definitely, of course, access to our paper order and ask for serial. They are not identified into the archive, but we can definitely help you. So do not hesitate to contact our customer care team. They will be, of course, happy to help you to find stereo data into OneAtlas for Pléiades Neo, Pleiades or Spot. You can also go to GeoStore for Pleiades and Spot stereo data. For tasking, you can definitely task stereo data for Pleiades Neo, Pleiades or Spot easily through our platform. That's something you can definitely do. So let me go through. Let's see another question. So will it be possible to order Pleiades Neo in 50 centimeter resolution for the Pleiades 1A, 1B price? So for this, as of today, we do not offer the capability to order Pleiades Neo in 50 centimeters resolution. That may be, of course, a possibility in the future, but as of today, this is not something that is being offered, whether through a classical pay-per order contract or through the Living Library. So let me check. Let me check the other question. Have one other question. What is the minimum new tasking order? Same as archive, 0.1 square kilometer? No. So tasking, the minimum order for tasking, 100 square kilometers. For archive, we are talking the paper order model of 25 square kilometers. Here we are talking about the subscription, where there's a minimum of 5,000 euro of orders. So we are not talking about really the same thing here. Again, for subscription, it's different from the paper order model. So no, the minimum is only 0.1 when you are within a Living Library subscription. Let me check, as we again have a lot of questions, so I'm trying to answer to all of them here. Maybe Lison, we have a question here from Ravindra. Can we use, so I believe it's OneAtlas, as a base map web map services REST endpoint for overlaying on different GIS application? If yes, what is prices or terms and conditions for commercial usage?
So we actually do have a base map, which is made of images from the Living Library. And so it can be overlaid on different GIS applications like S3, ArcGIS, ArcGIS Pro. It's the same principle in terms of APIs. It can be integrated directly into any GIS or platform. And it's really a global layer of satellite imagery made of Spot, Pleiades, and Pleiades Neo. Stay tuned. There will be a webinar in September, October to announce the new product. So Living Library, which we presented today, is very complementary with base maps. So stay tuned.
All right, as it's already 11 o'clock, so we will, of course, answer to all your question or your distinctive question by email. So we'll contact you, each of you. So we thank you a lot for your attendance today. We will be sharing this recording and this webinar with all of you. Thanks again for all your attendance today, and we hope to see you, all of you, soon. And we wish you a very pleasant day. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.